All right. So Krista's not here today to do the review, so maybe you guys can help me with it.
Maybe.
It's been 3 weeks.
I know where we stopped.
We'll go right, flip back.
8:19.
All right. So what do we have? You talked first, Dragon, so I'm going to pick on you.
What do we have?
Yeah, what did we do last
So
week?
we have 8:1 to 8:19.
We did 8:5 to 8:19, I think, actually.
Yeah.
It was
We
very
didn't go
little.
very far.
I think we touched on how for the first time women were recognized.
Yeah. Yeah, it was not ideal,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Before Christianity, boy, I should have checked my notes on this. I'm blanking today, getting out of vacation. Hey, what's up? Let me get you a big chair, so you don't. Yeah, women before Christianity in Roman times. This came from I believe it was Aristotle and Plato. That whole school thought that every baby was trying to be a man, but some were defective, so they turned into women. So they were not that. This was before Christianity. There's often this thing nowadays where they go, Christianity is really old-fashioned. They don't treat women well. It's like, well, women were property then. It's very different now. And this was the first time you see in any great writing where a woman's actually a witness to events. Nobody would write that down. You see that a little bit in Old Testament with the Israelis, or not Israelis, the Israelites. But that was new. What else? We talked about the parable about the sower and his seed. Anyone want to give a review of that? Feeling courageous?
You're doing such a good job.
Well, he goes out, he sows the seed. Some fell on hard ground, some fell on by the wayside. Some fell on good ground. And he explains it, and he's talking about over a lifetime. There are going to be people who either reject him outright. There are ones that take him a little bit, and then they run away, or the devil steals the word from their heart before they can even do it. But some fall on good ground, and that'll bear fruit sometimes 10 times, 100
We
times.
did have that conversation with, is it to be all good? How do you get there? 'Cause some
Yeah,
people
I remember
like,
Joyce was saying, it was like,
yeah.
okay, in our lifetime, our encounters with Jesus are many. Even if you're outside of Christ, you're going to have many encounters, right? So how do you receive that? So it's, that soil is really each one of us in our lifetime. At the end of our life, how did we receive the seed? Because it will fall on us. But are we going to be the road? Are we going to be the rock? I think we talked about how, in pursuing Christ, if you're pursuing Christ, really it's like we're trying to be the good ground, but then the thorns come and they try to get us, right? The cares of this world, money, power, wealth, status, ladies, for the young men, and sorry, all these things that they all die in the end. It all burns away in the end of this world, right? And then what else? We'll do one more thing. So we were talking about the lamp. Remember, it's like if someone has a lamp, and back then they didn't have electricity. It was very costly to run a lamp. You had to have oil. It was also could catch fire. Like, you don't put a blanket over the lamp. You set it on the table. So when you give yourself to Christ and he puts his light in you, you put yourself out there for others to see, right? You're not going to hide that lamp. You've actually paid a lot for that lamp, right? There's a cost to come to Christ. So you put it on the table and you let others see. You remain that example. So, all right. Anything else, guys, before we move on? All right.
Good recap.
Were you here last week? You were here. I remember. Yeah.
She missed the week before that, but she was helping her sister.
Okay.
Yes.
I remember that time.
Yeah.
No. All right. So he's in the middle of a crowd and he's preaching. Chapter 8, verse 19. Then his mother and his brothers came to him. He could not approach him because of the crowd. it was told him by some who said, "Your mother and your brothers are standing outside desiring to see you." But he answered and said to them, "My mother and my brothers are these who hear the word of God and do it." All right, is Jesus rejecting his mothers and his cousins and stepbrothers? What do you guys think is going on here? What is he trying to get at?
I'm gonna guess.
I like it.
I'm gonna guess that he is broadening his relationship with the rest of the world. Not saying that that's my family for sure, but these are my brothers and sisters as well.
Yeah.
I think that's what he's saying. He's being inclusive.
Yeah, it's like you're if you want to be one with me, those who are one with me are the ones that hear my word and do it. Now his mother and his brothers, we know they do it,
Yeah.
right?
So they were already
His brothers not at first, and then they did. And at this time, he's coming, and people are starting to receive him as the Messiah. They're going to. Well, at that time, if you're a king, your family's automatically special, right? Your lineage is very special. They are higher than others, right? But that doesn't go here, right? They are special. Our Blessed Mother, the Theotokos, is very special. But the point is when we come into him and we surrender him, we become one with him. We do become his family. All right, so what are words of God that we hear and should do? We've been in this class for a while, guys. What are words of God we should hear and do? I bet someone other than Dragan might even know this.
hate the other guy.
You want an example?
Yeah, what's something that we've read, or maybe we did Matthew, we've done John.
I mean,
we've
from the
done
Old
this.
Testament, we have the Ten Commandments.
We have the Ten Commandments. Great.
If I saw a lecture from Father Josiah.
Mm-hmm.
He said, if everyone in the United States followed the Ten Commandments, we would fix 90% of our problems.
Yeah. Yeah, that would
Just
be.
those 10.
Yeah.
But
Unless we learn from the rabbinic Judaisms and we learn all the workarounds. They've got a lot of workarounds around it. They figured it out. Joke. But they do. There's a whole industry around that. So we got the Ten Commandments. On that topic, what are the two commandments that...
This is the greatest love, right?
Yeah, love is first. Love him with your heart, your soul, your mind, all your heart, your soul, and mind. And then second, he says, love others as I, Jesus, have loved you, meaning you'll die for them. You'll give everything for them. So yeah, that love, in modern times, love takes on all these other connotations. It's romance. It's, gosh, I love these cookies. I just love them. And I'm sure I would if I tried them. I'm going to stay away. But this is sacrificial, godly love, right? So he's calling us. We become his family when we hear his words and do it. It's not merely, okay, I've come to Jesus, I've surrendered myself, it's a one-time thing. We always have a free will. We can walk away if we want. He never holds us in. He'll run after us, he'll come after us, but it's always our choice. So do we continue to do it with him, to follow him, to surrender to him. All right, so the disciples have heard many words of God at this moment, so let's see how they're doing. You can see that Luke purposely put this next part here. Now it happened on a certain day that he got into a boat with his disciples, and he said to them, "Let us cross over to the other side of the lake." And they launched out. Excuse me. But as they sailed, he fell asleep, and a windstorm came down on the lake, and they were filling with water and were in jeopardy. And they came to him and awoke him, saying, "Master, Master, we are perishing." Then he arose and rebuked the wind and the raging of the water. And they ceased, and there was a calm. But he said to them, "Where is your faith?" And they were afraid and marveled, saying to one another, Who can this be? For he commands even the winds and water, and they obey him. All right, so they're on a large lake. You know, like Lake Erie sides are bigger. This is like an ocean. We're not just a pond. And Jesus goes to sleep, and a big storm comes, and the boat fills with water. And our disciples, who have been with this Lord the whole time, they say, Master, wake up. Not save us, Master. It's, we're going to die. So, wake up, we're dying. There's no way out of this. He wakes up, he calms the storm, and he says, where's your faith? Can anyone think of a story in the Old Testament that's similar to this? It's like Sunday school. We learn about this in Sunday school.
No, was that? No.
Close.
Jonah and the whale.
Jonah and the whale.
Yeah.
There's a story, God says to Jonah, go preach in Nineveh. I'm starting a song my kids learned in school. Go preach in Nineveh. Then at the time, that's like saying to one of us, like, go to somewhere in the middle of and like where ISIS is over, and like go preach to them and say that like everyone's going to die in 3 days. And he's like, I know I wouldn't want to do that. So he's like, I don't want to do it. So he starts going south instead of north towards it. He goes down to Tarshish. He gets in a boat. He's with a bunch of pagans. They're in the middle of a storm, and he's asleep at the bottom of the boat, right? And all the pagans, they're praying. The storm comes, and they're praying to all their different gods. They're praying, nothing's happening. So they're like, we got to go wake him up. Maybe his God will save us. So they wake Jonah up, and he's like, hey, pray to your God. And he's like, well, about that, I know why the storm's come. It's my fault. And he tells them, you're going to have to throw me over. That's the only way you're going to be saved. And they don't want to do it. They're pagan. They're people he doesn't like, that he hates. They don't want to do it. They want him on the boat, but he says, you have to do it. So he gets thrown over the boat. We know the rest of the story, he gets eaten by a fish, but then the water's calm, right? And again, these pagans who don't know God, they're seeking and they trust in their gods, right? Now we have the disciples of Christ in the middle of this boat, and they don't trust. He's saying this is the kind of trust you need to have. Like the waters, the boat's filling, everything's going to the pot. Have faith in me. All right. Oh, I lost my thought. 1 second.
So what you're trying to say is, like, all the pagan people are gung-ho about their gods, but we should be using that energy to serve.
It's not even saying, it's just, I think there's thousands upon thousands of things that happened that Luke knows about, that people know about, that Jesus did. He chooses this story, he puts it here. And even his disciples, who are great, and they went out and they converted the nations, at this time, they still have yet to learn the lesson of, like, we have faith and trust in God at every moment. And I think, and that's the kind of trust we're called to have in God. It's very easy to trust God when all things are going well. I have a very mundane life. There are plenty of times I lose trust in God, or I don't, I'm like, I get stressed about things or worried about things. He's saying we don't need to worry. There's nothing we need to worry about. Everything's by his will, or it's allowed by him. But if we're in Christ, Paul talks about everything that happens to us is to his and our benefit, and to the kingdom's benefit, when we trust him.
Except when we use our free will to make a choice, and at which time we don't know if we made the right choice.
What's that?
In life, in general, that you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
We have free will to choose which way we're going to go and what we're going to do.
We follow him. Well, sometimes you don't know his will, you're saying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't know. That's exactly what I was reading. This last paragraph says, they're obviously not fully believing that God is God, Jesus is God, right? Because it says here, who can this be?
Yeah.
So he comments. I sit back like, wait a second. These are his disciples.
Yes.
And they are sitting on and asking themselves, who's this guy
Yeah.
that can stop the wind, can stop the seas?
Yeah.
And they're asking that question again after all the things they
Because-
have seen.
In back in those times, the water, being out in the water like that is almost like going to space. It is. You're not sure if you go out in the middle of the lake, like the Sea of Galilee, you're not sure you're going to make it back. That is absolute chaos. And yet Jesus controls it. So they're going, this is the moment where they're like, this is more than just a prophet. This is more than just, this is something only God can do. Right? So they're getting it. But in our lives, we have to trust him at every moment. And it's even like those moments where you're like, well, is he really here? Is he really understanding? Even though he knows every thought, he knows the hair on our heads, right? He loves every single one of us infinitely. But I just know myself too, I'm not on a boat, shit sinking. But there are plenty of times where I'm like getting worried about something, upset about something. It's like, well, what's there to worry about? If I'm Christ and I'm putting my faith in him and I'm living for him, I'm surrendering myself to him, there's nothing to worry about, ever.
Okay, but how do you overcome human nature? Especially some people are more worrywart than others, and I happen to be one of them.
No.
Well, if Rakia doesn't help, no.
What?
No.
Don't touch that.
No.
I sanitize the counters with it though.
I mean, it's really simply said, but hard to do. It's just you trust him, and you pray with that those times in prayer. You pray more. You spend more time in the day with him. Keep him in your head at all times. Because he's always there, whether we are thinking about him or not. He's always there. He's always paying attention to us, and he's not sitting there like a judge, going like, ready to drop the hammer. Like he just wants us to come, and he wants to save every single person, right? So he loves you very much, and if you know that you know how much he loves you, then what's there to worry about?
One has to
And now,
constantly
again,
himself.
easier said than done. I'm here teaching this class. I have plenty of times when I'm like frustrated, angry, worried, right? But
That one book that I was reading that Christy gave me touched the one guy, whatever he was saying.
Sarah, was it the
The book that me, you, and Joyce were reading.
Living in
Enchantment,
Wonder?
The Lightning
Yeah.
or Enchantment,
Living in
whatever.
Wonder? Yeah, Roger.
And when he was saying how he went to a priest once during time of trouble, and the priest told him to say the Lord's Prayer 500 times, and he's like, "Why did you do that?" And he's like, "Because you have to get out of your head. When you actually focus on God and Jesus, and you say it, like,
Yeah.
you have to really stop thinking about everything else around you and
Yeah.
just focus on saying Jesus."
That's great. Yeah.
500 times. You have to get out of your head. He goes, "That's why I told you to do it." And that's exactly. It's hard to get out of your head though.
Yeah.
But that's what the goal is, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. See, that's why we need a priest in this class.
Yeah.
What is that in?
Your husband was reading it too.
Living in Wonder. Your Dragon
and
has it.
Yeah, the one that Chris
There's a guy, and he talked
was
about.
upset I
the
wasn't reading.
enchantment.
It was about a number of things, but at a moment he talks about coming in. He's going to his priest. He's like, I'm worried all the time. And he says the Jesus prayer, Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me, a sinner. And you just say it, and you say it, and it's a meditative prayer. You put your mind to Him. And one, there is, there's a twofold thing going, which is, first of all, and the most important is you are really paying attention and uniting yourself to Him. And even if you're doing it poorly and you're not, sometimes it's hard to grab attention, right? You're getting every other thing out of your mind except Jesus, right?
Living in Wonder. Is the
That was the prayer when I came to the Orthodox faith,
Okay, thanks.
really took me from to just brought me to calmer waters.
That's what Brahmins are for too.
Yes.
Like you're supposed to go one by one, knot by knot, and just say it over
Yeah.
and over again. to
They're not
yourself.
just to tell people
Yeah,
that we're
they're not
Orthodox.
just
Yeah,
to
these
protect you.
have a reason.
Yeah.
Though it is nice. So when I see a Brian too, I'm like,
Yeah.
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 The demons flee from the Jesus prayer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really do. They flee from the name of Jesus and you really calling out to him, right? It's one thing if we're just talking about Jesus. We can do that all day. To actually go and do something about it, they hate. They hate us actually talking to him. He's always there. You know. So, no need to be afraid. Because he knows everything already, and he still loves you.
I gotta give that Brianna some put it on. I mean,
Is,
that's like,
honestly,
get
it's-
out of your head,
it
get out
is-
of your head, because you can kind of like,
No, but then you really do. His grace will come upon you. You'll feel him. You'll get there. I used to do that all the time, and then when I get in those modes, go back to it. So really, can we judge the disciples harshly? Are they all idiots? No more than we are.
But it is a little bit contradictory, like when I read this, the prior paragraph, the second, it's like, they have faith, they should know that they have
Yeah.
who he is and what he is, and here they are
Yeah.
asking, who can this be?
They're figuring it out as they go along, and that's a narrative I haven't focused as much during Luke, but during Matthew, you remember we're talking about every time how they're figuring out. They know at first he's the Messiah, right? But they don't know fully what the Messiah is. They know he's something special, and then they realize he's the Messiah, and then they actually learn by the end he's God. He's the image of the invisible God our Father. So yeah, there is this still playing out where they're figuring out as they go along. Yeah, you have to, I can't imagine what it was like to actually be there with Jesus because he's fully God. He's fully man. I watched The Chosen, and I like The Chosen, but it's a hard thing to do because this man and these actors he's going to be Jesus, right? And if you lean too hard on the human side, you get it wrong. You go too hard to the God side, and he's just kind of like spaced out and viewing the whole world at all. Like it's a very hard thing to do. So it's just, but he was fully human, so perhaps it was harder for them to tell. I don't know. At first, at least. All right.
apparently a chosen movie has brought people to become Christian.
There's
who
been a
were
lot.
totally against,
There's been a lot.
Christianity.
Yeah,
before
there's been a
that.
lot.
I started watching. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
It's
I think they do a pretty good job. I mean, that's a really hard thing to do.
it's
Yeah.
without controversy. There's really no.
And there's some
controversy.
people, like, they will never come to a class. It's not even against Christ. They just don't want to sit in class. Or they'll never open a book because they just don't want to read a book. It's just not part of their... So it's very good, I think.
Another region.
What's that?
Well, there's that, and there's also the more you know, the more you're accountable for it too, which is a bit of a struggle for a lot of people, including myself.
The more you know, you're more accountable for it.
Yeah,
This is true.
It's like
It's
you have no
accountability
more
and
excuses
responsibility.
for, being a bad person and doing bad things when you have read it. Now,
Is that why you don't like to read it at home?
You didn't have to put him in a spot, but yes, there's some fear.
Oh, man, I can't remember what he was saying. It's still far worse to be ignorant. Still far worse. Because he knows you have it. And you're a good reader, too. You read
You have
everything.
the judgment. Yes.
Yeah,
Wait,
but I know some people, they've read 3
Even-
books in their
even
life, and they were in
made
high
notes
school,
about
in school, and they're not going to pick up a book. So I think that TV show serves Christ. All right, anything else before we move on? All right. 26. Then they sailed to the country of the Gadarenes, which is opposite Galilee. And when he stepped out on land, there met him a certain man from the city who had demons for a long time. And he wore no clothes, nor did he live in a house, but in the tombs. When he saw Jesus, he cried out, fell down before him, and with a loud voice said, "What have I to do with you, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I beg you, do not torment me." For he had commanded the unclean spirit to come out of the man. For it often seized him, and he was kept under guard, bound with chains and shackles. And he broke the bonds and was driven by the demon into the wilderness.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah,
Why is it that always the people that have demons and know that he's the Son of God?
the demons know.
Oh, is that why?
The demons believe and they tremble. They know who he
It
is.
seems like every person that comes across him who has a demon knows that he's the Son of God. But we don't.
I can't remember. There's a number of church fathers who talk about this, but after Jesus was in the desert and Satan tempted him, he didn't quite know he's God, but he knew he was the Son of God, the Messiah. He knew that this was something special. Now, Paul talks about it, if he really knew who he was, he never would have killed him, because that was his downfall, by killing him. Right? Because when we say trample down death, by dying, he trampled down death. Right? Now we can tell later. Okay, we're going to mention there's a bunch of pigs around there, so we know this is a Gentile area, and if there's Jews there, they're sort of Romanicized Jews. There's this man with a demon. He's chained and shackled because he's out of control. He broke them. And he lived in the wilderness in the tombs, and every now and then he jumps out. And he's like, you know.
He wears no clothes.
And he wears no clothes. And you might wonder, like, we have Romans there, the Roman guards. They surely should be able to take care of a crazy man like this. They don't let us toe out of line. How would they let this crazy man? Well, we know as Christians that demons are bad, right? We know that there's God, the one true God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. We know there's angels, and then we know there's fallen angels and demons. That's what fallen angels are. But in the pagan world, this was viewed as good. You were actually fortunate, and it was an honor to have. They called them daemons, and they didn't have the same connotation we have as demon. Demon, we immediately think of evil. Well, all their gods, which are these demons, they know that the whole thing is just this transactional thing. Like, I give them some things to this god and that god and that god, but I also, I don't want to get too close because I know they'll burn me. I know they'll mess with me. I know that this is just a transactional thing between them. But they did view it as fortunate. They viewed it as like, this is an honor and we can't touch him because the gods have taken his body. And there was a lot of demon possession amongst the Romans because there was they would have these parties. There was actually this Bacchanalia celebration every year, they'd call it. And they'd invite demons in. They'd all invite demons in. And there'd be this, not to be crass, but just a big orgy. And not just in the way we think about it now sexually, but like violence, killing, lighting fires, or riots. And this was all good to them. This was, we're going to eat everything, we're going to drink everything. It's just all excess and all these evils that we know are evil. But Jesus will now show to these people, like, these spirits are evil. They only lead to destruction, right?
You kind of described America right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. How many gods do we have in America, right? I mean,
One, the dollar.
the dollar. We've got money, right? Like,
Orange Man bad.
fashionably late.
I have
Serbian
my
time.
ballerinas next door. I gotta go and contribute to my family. I have to unlock.
It's
Sorry for
7:30,
being
she's up.
disruptive.
Oh my gosh, why'd you come here?
Just
Disrupting
knock
the
everything
class.
over. Give me the key.
Oh gosh.
Don't be so quiet. Everyone. Here she is. Can you show them your plie?
Good job.
All right, we're going to come back to that because yes, I think that's very true. All right, so this demon, he goes, "What have I got to do with you? Please don't torment me." He's asking for mercy because, this demon who shows no one mercy, he's asking for mercy because he knows God is going to bring a judgment at some point, and he knows that he's going to be on the wrong side of it. St. Paul talks about, oh, so you believe in God. Well, the demons believe in God, and they tremble, right? So it's not just, some people, sometimes they think, well, if I want to be saved, then I just believe that God died for me. That's all I need to do. I just need to kind of an intellectual assent to this fact. I just know that. I'm good. Well, the demons know that. The demons know exactly what he did, right? They're not being saved, right? They're evil. All right, so 30. Jesus asked them, saying, dragon.
So, when Jesus interacting with this person, is it that person?
It's the devil, or a devil. It's a demon.
Or one of the demons inside of him that's responding.
It's the demon.
Interacting with.
It's actually demons, and
Yes.
I'll show you here in a second. Yeah.
Okay. That's what I was getting.
Yeah,
It's like
it is not that
he's
man. He's not in
responsive
control.
because- Yeah, it's like, what's your name? He says Legion. I'm thinking like, that's more than one, right?
He's
Yeah.
been infested.
Yeah, and here's the thing: you can't be infested by demons unless you invite them in.
Like,
You talk to Orthodox people who do exorcists who really focus on this stuff. They have to be invited in. You can't just accidentally get, incepted. You're searching for some evil, usually when this happens. All right. 30. Jesus asked him, saying, "What is your name?" And he said, "Legion," because many demons had entered him. So, legion, Roman legions, right, was a group of 5,000 to 6,000 men. So this is tens, hundreds, thousands. Demons will never tell you the truth. Of course, they're going to tell Jesus the truth because he's the master of all. But so this guy's filled with thousands of demons, right? 31. And they begged him that he would not commend them to go out into the abyss. So I was like, please don't send us to the final judgment. We know judgment is coming. Can we have more time? This abyss, he's talking about the outer darkness, hell. And just so we all know, God did not create hell for human beings. This was not for us. He created it for the devil and the third of the angels that fell. So they will go there in the final account, the final judgment. And if we don't want to be with Christ, if a person rejects Christ, doesn't want to be with him, they don't want to love, be merciful, kind, patient, they're not going to be with Christ because they don't want him. The only other place is the outer darkness, right? You're either with him or you're not, right? Some people sometimes think, okay, here's God. He's created a good place and a bad place. God's over here. And he's just arbitrarily going, you're good, you're bad. No, it's do you want to be with him or not, right? John, and one second, just let me finish this one thing I want to hear. In 1 John, he says, those who love know God, okay? Those who do not love know God, because God is love.
No, those
Right.
who love know God.
I said, those who love know God, and those who
Yes.
do not love
There you go.
do not know God. Sorry. Thank you. Because God is love, right? This isn't just a figure of speech. God is love. Love is a force, and it is God, right?
I think before you go further too, when we've come to thinking of love as like Cupid and hearts and Valentine's Day, like love is not in our tradition just thought of as a feeling, it's an action. So this is-
Sacrificial.
Yes,
Yeah.
and so like Jesus, his love for us was sacrificial. When I teach children, I say things like, if this is a fun one for serving children. Tata says he hates the dog, doesn't like the dog, but every time you come into the room and he thinks no one's around, he's like petting the dog and he's like loving on the dog. Does Tata really hate the dog? No. Okay, you have a dog, you won't feed it, you won't take it on a walk, you kick it when you're in a bad mood. Do you love the dog? Your actions betray you, right? So love is an action, and we we're defined by our actions. Multiple times in the New Testament, Jesus either says directly or through the apostles that we will be judged by our actions. So when we talk about this knowing love, it's not just like, having that warm fuzzy feeling when you first meet your spouse. It's like 30 years later when you've known your spouse forever and you're both super annoyed, like still going down and being like, oh, I'll go get you a glass of water even though I'm really tired, or that kind of stuff.
Even if you're really annoying.
Even if you're the absolute worst. That's your best self.
Not you.
No.
Not you. This is hypothetical.
Or
And I'm always never annoying.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, plug my phone. and
It's
like,
their
well,
anniversary today.
I'm too comfy.
46 to fish it.
Yeah. So they really know about this.
All right. All right. Let me find my place again. I really want to finish.
Say something.
32.
Oh, yeah, Stipe.
Oh, I watched the lecture from this Roman Catholic priest, actually. I think he did a good job when he explained that angels from the get-go had a concept of everything right from the get-go. Like
They
they
had the
knew,
Full knowledge of good, full knowledge of
whereas
evil.
we
Yeah.
have to work our way to make a decision.
Yeah.
They knew all of the
It's
decisions.
done already for them. They don't know everything because that's like the demons didn't know that Jesus was going to be born in a manger, but like just
That was
Right,
the one thing
for our-
he
Within
didn't
Yes,
do.
you're
our,
right.
like, the way we see the world, yes, they
Yeah.
knew everything.
Yeah.
until you get to my Catholic
As I heard
today.
one priest say, they had a full knowledge of good and the full knowledge of evil. So that's why they can't be saved anymore. That's why there's no redemption. We don't have, in this fallen world, we're gaining a full knowledge of good. We're also gaining a full knowledge of evil. We know evil. We all do evil at different times. And I'm not talking about great evils like murdering somebody, but hating somebody and harboring bad thoughts,
Or just being selfish. I mean,
sexual sin, all sorts of things. Run down the 10 Commandments. We've all broken them in some way, because our thoughts even matter too, not just our actions. All right. I want to finish this story before we do your thing. 32. Now a herd of many swine was feeding there on the mountain, so they begged him that he would permit them to enter them. And he permitted them. The demons went out of the man and entered the swine. The herd ran violently down the steep place into the lake and drowned. So Jesus does show them mercy. All right, you can go into the pigs. What happens, and why do you think that happens?
I had a question related to that, because I get a feeling reading this paragraph, the demons cannot exist. They need to be inside some living being, even if it's a pig. That's what I kind of get out of this. And I don't know if that's a good interpretation. Maybe I'm digging too deep for that.
It's a good thought, or it's a natural thought.
Because
I don't
they're
think that's
begging and
true.
saying, let us, don't just chase us out of this
Yeah.
individual. Let us go into these pigs.
Well,
And he says, okay.
they don't want to go back to their dwelling place, right? Their spiritual dwelling place. They actually are in a man. They can manipulate matter. They can be in this world. They can't just, most of the time they're relegated to manipulating us and trying to get us to do things in there that they want, right? Well, they're in a man, so that for them is probably awesome. They get to take full control and go do whatever they want and scare people in the tombs or whatever they're doing. But as I understand it, that shouldn't be true, that they have to be in a person, because there's
Something in the spiritual realm, but spiritual.
yeah, there's a spiritual realm, right? There's a,
seen and unseen.
and here's something that can be confusing is when you'll see the kingdom of heaven, you'll see the God in heaven. Well, the heavens are a blanket term for the spiritual realm, right? There's God in heaven, but then also these demons are in a heaven, not paradise. This is not the good place, but it's the spiritual realm. It's the unseen realm. So they're not body. They don't have body. They're not. So you have some scientific mindset. They're non-local. They don't have a place. They don't have,
So they
maybe
have
not even a
place where they
time.
can exist,
Yeah.
but, I guess.
But they're beyond. It's
I-
not
I-
like they don't have a body. So even like imagine people, they go, oh, they don't have a body. So they're just kind of like the spirit body, kind of floating around everywhere. They don't have a body.
Right.
So they're not to the extent God is, but in some way they're beyond space and time in a way I don't understand, but I've heard priests talk about. They're beyond space. So that's how they can manipulate and be around and do things.
Like spiritual
I mean,
parasites?
there's got,
Is that what you?
Yeah.
no, what I'm thinking about is like, if there's that other dimension, that other space where they can exist or do exist,
Yeah.
they need to come into a living being to feel better, to find some satisfaction, or why don't they just stay over there?
Well, it destroys that human.
Like
What?
they're useless to the devil, right?
C.S. Lewis talked about it in a book where basically, like, spoiler for the book, basically demons look at us like we're food.
Okay, so
They
they
want
eat
to
us.
feed off of us.
Okay.
They can't create.
Okay.
They can't heal.
Manifest.
They cannot
They can't
manifest
manifest.
anything.
They
They
can't
can't
manifest.
anything.
They can't manifest
Okay,
matter
thank you.
and
That's what
like.
it is.
That's the
They
link. I
can't
was
You're like
gonna
a
Yeah.
walking Twinkie to them.
Okay.
Yeah.
All of us. Sorry.
That was
Good answer.
C.S. Lewis. I can't remember the book.
Screw Tape Letters.
Screw Tape Letters.
That's an excellent book.
Yeah.
Really good.
Okay.
That's why
Screw tape
they hurt
letters.
him. That's why
We
the
can circulate it
demons.
All right, so why do you
Sorry
think
to-
though? Okay,
Okay.
they've been living in this man.
Okay, now
Maybe
I get it.
maybe he's in this man for years. He didn't run into the lake and drown, right? The moment they get into pigs, who's not man, they go straight into the lake and drown. You can assume they didn't want to do that, but why? What's going on here?
The pigs wanna shake them?
Surely the man probably did at some point when he realized this isn't all fun and games.
Well, that man must have opened himself up for them to come in.
He did.
That's number one.
He has to have.
Number two, I don't know how the pigs reacted. Did they invite him in or not?
Well, here's-
They got in, right?
Who are pigs
So-
made in the image of?
Huh?
Who are pigs made in the image of? I don't know. God knows. Then they're pigs. That's what they're made in the image. We're made in the image of God.
Oh, okay.
Adam, God breathed
Right, right.
his spirit into Adam. We're breath from his breath, right? So they can destroy us, but they can't send us immediately to destruction here. They can, even if they're not inhabiting us or we're, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the word.
Influence?
No, when you're,
Possessed.
yeah, when you're possessed, even if you're not possessed, well, they can influence us to do many bad things, and that's great for them, right? They don't want us. We are neutralizers of evil. If we're following Christ and we're loving, evil flees. They can't come anywhere near us. They can't come anywhere near us because they can't touch us if we're in Christ. We're loving. So the moment they go on a pig who's not in the image and likeness of God, who's not breath from his breath, instant destruction, right? That pig isn't powerful enough. It does say that, we have a power in Christ and in God, and in merely just being breath from his breath. This is why they attack us, because we're made in the image of God. We're his children, so they attack us. All right, and he's just shown this town this, the nature of these demons. Like, hey, you've been worshiping these quote unquote, small case gods. Hey, you liked your pigs, right? They're all dead now. Your livelihood's gone, right? All right, 34. When those who fed them saw what had happened, they fled and told it in the city and in the country. Then they went out to see what had happened and came to Jesus and found the man from whom the demons had departed, sitting at the feet of Jesus, clothed and in his right mind. And they were afraid. They also, who had seen it, told them by what means he had been demon-possessed was healed. Then the whole multitude of the surrounding region of the Gadarenes asked him to depart from them, for they were seized with great fear. Everybody in the region finds out what goes on. And they go, please, will you leave? We don't want you here. Why would they do that?
too much for them to process. Too hard for them to absorb.
Yeah.
Take it for granted. So it's kind of part of the parable. Those that saw did not understand what they've seen. They could not accept it. And more power to those.
Yeah,
They
those who
haven't
hear,
seen,
hearing
but
they
then-
don't hear, seeing they
Yeah,
don't
but
see, right?
They accept the existence of God
Mhm.
and have full faith in God.
Yeah,
So I think that's the fulfillment of that.
yeah. If they accept Christ,
Yeah.
everything will change. This isn't their way of life. They're Romans. This will affect them deeply and even economically. And if the Roman way of life at this time, religion, there's no such thing as separation of church and state as we know it. Worshipping the Roman pagan gods is part of your civic life. Okay? So, early Christians, the Romans, when they kind of started figuring out what's going on with them, they thought they were revolutionaries or radicals, that they wanted to revolt because they weren't worshiping these gods. This is just what you do as a Roman. It's not even necessarily a religious thing. It's like, we're Romans. This is the Roman Empire. Are you trying to upend all of society? This is what we do. If soldiers were going to go do something, they always would go and daily they're paying homage and respect to different gods. This is part of Roman life. It's civic life too. But now if they know the truth too, they've got a responsibility and they've got to change everything. And that's too great. But yeah, like you said before, Gus, like all this reminds me a lot of this world, we've become sort of this in parts of the West, very post-Christian, where we have some Christian morality without Christ. And people become very materialist, atheist types. And they don't believe in all these different gods. Well, people have quote unquote lowercase gods. Maybe it's their house, their car, their job, vanity, all these different little things we can make idols. And when we kind of choose all the things we want to worship, we put our attention towards, really the person we're worshiping is ourselves, right? Because we're choosing the thing that we do. There's a big thing now, they've applied a term to it called moral therapeutic deism.
You've heard it floating around.
Yeah, and where people were like, yeah, I believe in God. Like, he's kind of like an old grandpa. He doesn't really want anything from us. But, like, we're just supposed to be sort of good. What is good, I don't know. That's around us. And also, living our faith, I think in this country, for a long time, we took for granted how easy it is to be a Christian in this country. But we see more and more that people don't bring their faith to work. They go to work, and now I'm work Brandon now, and I talk about football, and I talk about politics or business stuff. I will not bring my faith into it. We have a secular version of ourselves many oftentimes, right? And I think myself being an atheist, when I was coming to Christ, it was like, there was a moment where I believed, but I knew I wasn't doing the things I should be doing. And it was like, I was on the precipice, because I knew if I did that, everything's going to change. I'm going to lose friends. And I did. I lost friends. And it wasn't like I was like, hey, let's go to Jesus. I wasn't preaching or anything. I just said, I'm going to church now. I believe it. I believe Jesus is real. And slowly my calls didn't get returned,
Listen,
those were the
being
ilk I was hanging with.
He's not being totally fair because, now all we do talk about is Jesus. And so when you see people running from us now, that's fine. But then it was different. Then we were more like
I was easy
secular.
on him. I wasn't giving him the full court press at all. But it does. There is a, there's a cost. Maybe they'll think you're weird if you talk about Jesus, who is our Lord and Savior, who created us. Why wouldn't you talk about that? Isn't that pretty awesome? But you're a weirdo. You're hateful. That's the new one. Is we're hateful people.
Non-inclusive.
Non-inclusive. Whatever. So
racist.
And another way this is like today is people are getting back into witchcraft and occult stuff. It's becoming very, very popular again. Actually, a lot of young women are, there's like witch talk, they call it, and it's casting spells and, manifesting is not a bad spiritual word, but they use it in like a, I'm going to cast a spell and I'm going to manifest money in my life and this sort of thing. Tarot readings that's always around, but it's become more popular again.
The prosperity gospel.
Oh, yeah.
That one.
That's fake.
If you come to Christ, you will automatically get rich. That's the other one.
Joel Olsen.
Bless his heart.
Joel-
Yeah.
Follow that program. See what happens. See where that gets you.
You might get rich, but not in what
But-
you want to be rich in.
You might sell out your family
Yeah.
in the process.
So,
Joel Caesar thing.
Yeah, the prosperity
He's
gospel.
a bad
but yeah,
boy.
when we have all our different gods, our responsibility is to ourselves. We're just doing what we want to do, picking and choosing, and we're God. We turn ourselves into God. But if you accept Him, if they accept Christ, well, their responsibility is now to Him, not to themselves, not to the way of life. Everything changes, right? St. Luke's audience was primarily Gentiles, and we know he traveled with St. Paul. St. Paul was preaching to the Gentiles. And many of the themes that you see in his epistles is that, the Gentiles wanted to have a foot in both worlds. They're like, okay, I'm a Christian, I want to follow Christ, but like, it would really help if when I go to my boss's party, I could offer sacrifices to Zeus. Like, I might get a promotion. I don't really mean it. I'm just going through the things. And he's like, no, there needs to be a clean break between these two lives. And you Jesus Christ to set you free from that, from their hold on that, so you stay free with him. All right. So that's the end of that story. I think we'll probably end there, but
38.
anything on your...
You didn't read 38.
Oh, wait.
Paragraph.
Hurry.
At 38, you stop.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, that's not done. Okay, and he got into the boat and returned. Now the man from whom the demons had departed begged him that he might be with him. But Jesus sent him away, saying, "Return to your own house, and tell what great things God has done for you." And he went his way and proclaimed throughout the whole city what great things Jesus had done for him. Why wouldn't Jesus let him come with him? What do you think he's doing?
Maybe that'd be more beneficial for him to spread the word of God
Yeah.
to other people, so.
Yeah, he still loves these people, right? He lives amongst the Gadarenes, right? Go home, which is that area, do it. So they won't listen to Jesus. Maybe they'll listen to him, right? So even when they reject him, he's working because he loves them as much as his disciples. He loves them as anybody else, right? So,
Well, they saw the man with the demons, and Jesus wanted him to go show his clean self.
yeah.
What the Lord did for him.
Yeah, look at me. I was dirty. I had no control of my life. I mean, how many people feel like this without being possessed? Everything's falling apart. I have no control. I want control over things. Okay, well, Jesus has given you a new life, right? In him. You don't need to be in control. He's got it.
Father Ilya shared a story when he went to Russia a few years ago. There was a teenage girl. She was maybe 13. She was obviously possessed. She had to have 10 grown men hold her back of how strong she was.
Oh, wow.
And then they took her to church to go kiss the cross at the end of church, whatever. And then she just calmed down.
Really?
Yeah.
I hear with sometimes exorcisms can take days and weeks because
that's probably one of
the
those.
person also has to be willing and do their own part in it too to help rid them. But then sometimes it's right away.
There's some good
What I
things.
didn't realize
I love
either.
this.
Just wait.
My wife had a
In
good
that book
book.
that you gave me,
She bought a
Did you
real
read
good
it?
I
book.
love it.
It
But
was
it's
called, it's
the one
about
you
the
said about
lion.
exorcisms.
Oh, that was
And I
disturbing,
didn't
huh?
realize,
The
like
different kind of
people, they have to
spirit,
go
like
through
Jezebel's
like
spirit.
mental,
Yeah.
testing to make sure
Like I
they're
was
not
telling her,
mentally
there's
ill,
even
they
one
really
spot
are.
like you on.
They
Yeah,
go
fine.
For medicine, like mental
What
health,
book was that?
Yeah.
they can, you know,
Uh,
invite.
Yeah,
The No
absolutely.
Wonder,
Oh.
whatever.
Yeah, I mean, our world's full of them. We just don't call them gods or demons.
I'm
We
almost
just,
done with it.
Okay,
these
she'll
are
finish.
just-
You can
Yeah,
borrow
when
it.
I'm
oh, it's a solution for a
I'll read it.
problem. You know, it's,
Like my son used to play those cards,
no,
the
okay,
Magic,
wait.
the Gathering,
Mhm.
and
Oh, you can have it.
Yu-Gi-Oh! and
Yeah.
Like even those
I'll
types
probably
of
take forever.
Dungeons and Dragons for anybody.
you have, yeah, it's in everything. I mean, it's crazy how much this stuff is in everything. And I mean, with our kids, we're always like trying to play the game of how much do we shelter them from. And we also trying to armor them for it, so we can actually show them what's in the world, but be with them and tell them what's right and wrong. It's tough.
The irritating
It's really, that D&D stuff's true. Like, there's,
Krista, thank
Yeah.
you for this.
You're
Thank you for
welcome.
this.
Are you gonna give
It's
it to
going
Bob?
straight home.
You're
Yeah.
going right to Slav, but it's
No,
going
not-
home, it's not going to her. Or
I'll unleash this movie.
wait, are you going to give that to someone else?
So,
I know at least one
99%
person that needs this very
99%
badly.
of the time, I give you guys orthodox readings and content, and I'm going to give you some context here. This one is from a Catholic nun in the 1800s, but in my St. Vladimir seminary classes, while a lot of our material is orthodox, we still get Protestant material given to us, Catholic material.
As long as it's not conflicting.
As long as it's
with
not
our
conflicting
core
with whatever
dogmas.
that particular study or that book is saying doesn't conflict with our doctrine. What this woman has to say does not conflict.
Is Christian.
So, that is why I'm sharing it today, and I think we can all benefit from it. I remember when I came across this first, like a year ago, Brianna and I shared it. This is her book for anybody who wants to have a Catholic friend who just loves St. Teresa of Lisieux. She has a great devotion to her. Anyway, so if anyone wants to borrow it, but we'll just read through this particular excerpt. So, St. Teresa of Lisieux, 1873 to 1897, you see she did not live a long time, was a French Carmelite nun who is widely venerated in modern times. She is a doctor of the church and is one of the most popular of saints, and she's the author of this particular book, which was her journal. All right.
Did you print it right?
I did
Okay.
print it correctly. Okay, we're starting on the next page. My practice of charity is not always accompanied by such exhilaration. But at the beginning of my religious life, Jesus wanted me to understand how sweet it is to see him in the souls of his spouses. So I escorted Sister St. Peter with so much love that I could not possibly have done it better had it been our Lord himself. Nor have I found the practice of charity always so easy. So, as you will soon see, I will tell you a few of my many struggles to prove it. The fidgeting sister. For a long time I had to kneel during meditation near a sister who could not stop fidgeting. If it was not with her rosary, it was with goodness knows what else. Maybe no one else noticed it. I have a very sensitive ear. But you have no idea how much it annoyed me. I wanted to turn around and glare at the culprit to make her be quiet, but deep in my heart I felt that the best thing to do was to put up with it patiently for the love of God first of all, and also not to hurt her feelings. So let's just pause for a minute and think of the many times in church where maybe you have not been so charitable.
Why are these kids yelling?
Breathing in my face.
Yeah.
Okay. So I kept quiet, bathed in perspiration.
There are those. We've heard it.
So I
Yeah.
kept quiet, bathed in perspiration often enough, while my prayer was nothing more than the prayer of suffering. In the end, I tried to find some way of bearing it peacefully and joyfully, at least in my inmost heart. Then I even tried to like this wretched little noise. It was impossible not to hear it, so I turned my whole attention to listening really closely to it, as if it were a magnificent concert, and spent the rest of my time offering it to Jesus. It was certainly not the prayer of quiet. Dirty water. Another time, washing handkerchiefs in the laundry opposite a sister who kept on splashing me with dirty water, I was tempted to step back and wipe my face to show her that I would be obliged if she would be more careful. But why be foolish enough to refuse treasures so offered so generously? I took care to hide my exasperation. I tried hard to enjoy being splashed with dirty water, and by the end of half an hour, I had acquired a real taste for this novel form of aspersion. How fortunate to find the spot where such treasures were being given away. I would come back as often as I could. The irritating sister. This one's for you guys. There was at that time a certain nun who managed to irritate me in everything she did. The devil had a part in it, for it was certainly he who made me see all her bad points. Not wishing to give way to natural antipathy, I reminded myself that sentiments of charity were not enough. So here we go about feelings, sentiments of charity. They must find expression, and I set myself to treat her as if I loved her best of all. I prayed for her whenever we met and offered all her virtues and merits to God. I was sure that Jesus would be delighted at this, for artists always like to have their work praised, and it pleases the divine artist of souls when, not stopping at the exterior, we penetrate the inner sanctuary where he dwells to admire its beauty. I prayed earnestly for this sister who had caused me so much struggle, but this was not enough for me. I tried to do everything I possibly could for her, and when tempted to answer her sharply, I hastened to give her a friendly smile and talk about something else. For as it says in the Imitation, it is better to leave everyone to his own way of thinking than begin an argument. Sometimes when the devil made a particularly violent attack, if I could slip away without letting her suspect my inward struggle, I would run away from the battle like a deserter. And what was the result? She said to me one day, her face radiant, "What do you find so attractive in me? Whenever we meet, you give me such a gracious smile." What attracted me? It was Jesus hid in the depths of her soul. Jesus who makes attractive even what is most bitter. So you see, Mother, what a very little soul I am. I can only offer very little things to God. These little sacrifices bring great peace of soul, but I often let the chance of making them slip by. So another big theme in her writings, so she wanted to become a nun, and it took her a little while to get there. But she comes to this realization, she's like, I think Vita was here once talking about how nuns can be nasty. It's true. They're in everything
Well,
of
especially
Christianity.
in those times, and the further back you go, some people found themselves in monastery life, being a monk or a nun, more out of like, well, that was a job, you know. Well,
But they would
I
take
can't get a
you.
job, but they'll take me, and you know, I'll copy.
I'll do as I'm told, but
I'll
not
do as I
necessarily
told.
following a calling.
So not everybody there is there necessarily following a calling all the time, right?
So the thing she
And some are, and they're still annoying. You
Yes.
know? So
So the point she was making though is she comes to, the nuns are being nasty to her, and she comes to realize that she's like, I want to be a great saint, but I'm not going to do anything amazing. She was like, I can be faithful in small ways. And I think about that, all the little things, like we were talking about how Jesus is compartmentalized, like our faith is compartmentalized in secular society and modern living. But there's all these little ways in which, you know, you can live your faith, and if you're living the Orthodox faith through and through, it's going to show in all these little expressions. Now, I don't know that I have the tolerance. Like my kids irritate me, and I'm sharp with them. And this woman,
I've never seen it.
Never. This woman did not have offspring that she was tied to and like loved. These were people who she could just not love and chose to. So I found it inspirational.
I think it is about the small,
You can pass it around if anyone's
you know,
interested.
because there are people that rub you the wrong way. There's people who are related to us
Yeah.
that rub us the wrong way, and sometimes that's even worse. Sometimes that somebody we can just walk away from, right? So those small moments of just like,
I had a nun for school.
Oh, did you? Was she
Yeah.
nasty or a nice
She
one?
smack you,
She,
put your fingers like
I
that.
wouldn't say nasty, but like very disciplinary.
there seriously seems to be a lot of nuns who drove people away from Christ. And like a lot of people I know who went to Catholic school, some of them had great experiences. They love the Lord, and some are like
Not so much.
they've gone the opposite direction because they had a sadist.
Sister Fabian.
Sister Fabian. Yeah.
She was from Ireland.
Hmm.
So she really laid down the law.
Oh yeah.
Do you know why
You were
so-
out of
so young? Oh, she became ill.
How old were you?
So her sister became
I
an
was like
abbess. Her actual blood sister became
She was
an
always
abbess.
there.
And
I had her when I was
this
like
young
17.
nun like takes everything seriously, but her mom died young, and this is all she wanted to do was be a nun. Like that's, and her dad wouldn't let her at first, and then she goes to this monastery. The lady nuns there hate her because I don't know, they're bitter. I don't know the reasons, but they don't like her. And
She's
she-
too young. She's too young.
Is it that
Yeah, she's
too
very young. She's like
Um,
14.
So they're like annoyed with her. She's incompetent, whatever. And so her sister, like her blood sister, who becomes the abbess of that monastery, eventually gave her this book and was like, "You need to write your thoughts down." And she like quietly does her work and is this loving, kind person. And eventually, she ends up being put in charge of like onboarding new nuns. And then this collection, this is like her journal where she's like writing to her sister who is
She
her
was
mother.
young too when she died.
Yes,
20
very, very
She was
young.
only 24.
But
Yeah.
she became sick and that was when she reposed. So,
Yeah.
I think that's the problem with modern people in general today, is that when someone wants to become a monk or a nun, it's like there's this weird stipulation like, oh, they don't want to pursue a career or this and that's like, what's wrong with, I'm saying from like an Orthodox mindset, it's like it's a great endeavor,
yeah.
Yeah.
you know, but
One fewer called to, but when they are, that's a great thing.
I mean, I couldn't be a monk, but
I mean, either.
It's not for everybody, not everybody is meant to preach. I mean, James talks about that. Not everybody should be a teacher. Not everybody should be a priest. Not everyone has that specific task ahead
Yeah,
of them.
you should be called to it. So. Answer the phone, Dragon.
Did you read the book?
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, I gave.
She gave it to
Oh,
me.
she gave it to you.
Yeah.
What were your takeaways? Did you learn? Do you feel like you learned something?
It was nice. There was a lot of explanations and stuff, but yeah, you think about it. Yeah, it was nice.
who's gonna finish all these cookies?
You are.
You can.
You got this. You got this.
On a lake note.
Take another one.
Skylar does not want them back. She does not want them back.
There you go.